he does exactly that. This is in real speed right now, and as you can see, he starts and finishes every single stroke in streamline, even if it's just for a little bit. Every single stroke you have to be riding high on top of the water, and if you don't finish and hold streamline for even just a little bit, you're not really going to maximize your kick. And when you swim breaststroke, I want you to think in your head, pull, kick, glide. And you can see he's doing that very clearly here. The shorter the distance of the race, the less you're going to hold that streamline. But it's really, really important to hold it. Now, the second thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the pull. He plays to his corners very, very well. And I'm going to zoom in here just so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. When we're talking about corners, we're talking about the way he's grabbing the water, pushing out with the pinkies, pushing out just past the shoulders. And if we draw some lines at just how wide we're going, you're not really going that far out. Maybe 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock if you use the arms of a clock. And the goal here is to try and initiate that high elbow catch as early as possible. So that way you're catching water from your fingertips all the way through into your armpit, actually. And if you watch in slow motion, let's put it at half speed, you can see how he's engaged with the water all the way through at every point of the pull. And a big mistake swimmers make is when they're taking the pull right here and the arms are about to return back to streamline, you kind of drop the elbows. And if you take a look at his stroke, he is really leveraging and pulling the water behind him at every single moment. I'm going to draw that again so you guys can see, maybe with some angles. You can see how he's really just pulling the water back at every element. And once the hands come back together and the thumbs are at the nose, he has an insane drive forward and just explodes. And the reason for that is because when you're taking the breath, let's zoom out here. Actually, we're going to go back just a little bit. When you're taking the breath, that is the slowest part of the stroke, so you want to make it as fast as possible and you want to minimize the amount of resistance there. Now, the second thing I want to highlight is how narrow his kick is. We're going to go ahead and zoom in again. And if you take a look at the kick, you can see how far apart the knees are. The knees don't really go that far apart. If you actually take a look at Cody Miller in the lane next to him, his kick is actually a lot wider by comparison. And the reason why you don't want to have a super wide kick is you want to try and keep your body in a narrow body line. And if you open up your legs too much, you're going to create way too much resistance, and that's no good. You want to swim like in a box. Well, not that kind of a box. I'll show you guys in a different angle. Let's zoom in here. And you can see, perfect. So we're returning to a neutral body position. And if we look at the width of the kick specifically, let's zoom in here. This looks a little wider actually. He's not wearing a tech suit. But as you can see, the width of the legs are a little bit wider, and you want to keep your heels tucked inside of your frame. If you think about the frame, how much water are you actually displacing? Because water is 800 times more resistive than air. And so if you displace too much water, it's going to slow you down. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. So it's better that you have really strong, the kick is very really strong kick. There it is. Wow. Very, very efficient. Okay, let's skip ahead now to watching his kick here. Yeah, you can see the kick is very compact, and there's a moment right here where the feet are flexed and the toes are actually pointing to the outside walls, and the displacement is relatively small, and that's the goal. That is what you want. Now let's take a look at the pullout. I think there's some things that we can actually look to improve in Adam Peaty's pullout. Let's watch it in slow motion here. It's strong, but working on